talking. This is one of the videos that I never saw myself filming or shooting.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you do a quick Google search, Japan, Christianity in one sentence, you see like 1% on Google. If something is 1% in a full country, it's almost like it's non-existent.
There's also some kind of Christianity that are actually a cult. That it's more like a cult thing. Once you say you're a Christian, they look at you with the eyes of a cult group. I'm afraid to not believe in any god.
In Christmas time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Chilo here once again, as always. This is the problem I have with filming with people that I know. See finish is to enter the equation. But yeah, Chilo here once again, as always. And to be very honest, like I was telling, if people watched the other video I did with by Mrs. Margaret, that I said she's my Oga's wife. This is the my Oga that I was referring to. I was telling my Oga when we were talking, this is one of the videos that I never saw myself filming or shooting.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I thought it was obvious. I thought it was black and white. Like I always infer it in all my videos. Oh, I just came back from church. Oh, last week somebody a church member, like, so I felt it was black and white, that there's church, thing like that. Yes. Then from around May, I started seeing comments like, can you talk about church in Japan? Can you talk about Christianity in Japan? I saw the first comment and I was like, maybe it's a new person just came.
Right.
And before you know what happened, that was like the beginning of a legion of those kind of comments. Wow. Like, so this is one of the comments, right? Good evening, ma'am. I celebrate the grace of God upon your life. Can you talk about the church you attend in Japan, the things we need to know about church? Thank you. This is 4 months ago.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. And honestly, when I thought about doing this video, there was no other person that came to mind than you. For 3 reasons. First is you came to Japan before me.
Right.
I think you came in
2017 April.
I came 2018 September.
Yeah.
Like, you've lived longer in Japan than
say that.
me. And then, secondly, is that the second reason is we attend different churches. So that gives you a tangible, you can see a tangible example that in the small 1%, that's what Google said,
right,
we still have variety going on here, right? And the third, and I think most important reason, is that he is actually a youth pastor. See, Moga wears so many hats. He's a youth pastor, he's an assistant professor, when you see people that have grace of God,
make with the list.
Tell me why I would not call him my Oga. So he's a youth pastor. I felt like this was the best person to do this video with, and I'm really grateful that you accepted without
thank you for the privilege, for the platform.
Yeah, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Emmanuel Dansu. Yes, I like to tell people I'm from Badagry. I'm Ogu, and popularly called Egun. And what else do I need to say? Is that good enough? Because I can start talking about plenty things.
Author of a good selling book, sound book. I'll talk about it at the end of this video. He's just an all-rounder person, like
Amen.
An all-rounder person. That's one of the reasons why I always thought that I appreciate every time that I have times I spend with you off camera. We've known for more than 5 years now, and this is the first time you're coming on my channel. That also shows that it's not everybody you guys get to see, but I have like quality set of people around me. So pardon me, this video might not be like a typical interview kind of video. I really do not want it to be interview
because
vibe.
I'm a gist person.
Yeah. So honestly, I kind of see where people are coming from with these questions. And the whole, is there Christianity? Is there church? Is there this? Because there are a lot of stereotypes.
Right.
Because if you do a quick Google search, Japan, Christianity in one sentence, you see like 1% on Google. That's the percentage we are. So I mean, if something is 1% in a full country,
it's 7 million.
Yes, it's almost like it's non-existent. So that's possibly one of the reasons.
Right.
Another reason is I think maybe people mash Asia together too much.
I think that's one thing.
Yes, I know that there are some countries in Asia that have to hide to worship, underground and all. I know that, but this is Japan, not those countries. I feel like when you tell somebody that you're in Japan, before you tell the person today, the next person that you, so how is Korea, how is China, how is no, I said
and if you
Japan.
ask you things like, can you now speak Chin-Chan-Chin?
Yes, but it's not. So at the end of the day, I think people mash these countries up, and that's why the stereotype is that strong.
Right.
So have you had any of those kind of stereotypes before?
Definitely. Like most people just believe that because you're in Asia, then you're in China.
Yeah.
So how is China today? I get that every time.
Yeah.
So, but Japan is has a totally different culture from China and South Korea. Maybe they have some similarities because
And
of their
they
region.
have a high religion tolerance in Japan.
Yes, Japan.
Nobody's forcing you
Yes.
to be, when we go to shrine, temple, Buddhism, all those
Yes.
things that people attribute to
Yeah,
their
Japan is
religion
very
here.
open. Maybe I think historically, right? I think even the reason why there will just be 1% of Christianity in Japan has something to do with history, because even as we speak, there are people in history. I think I read about one former soldier, Japanese person, who after the war became an evangelist, and he was all over the place. Then of course you have places like I think Nagasaki, with very strong historical something about Christianity. But I think the issue was there's also some kind of Christianity that are actually a cult, that it's more like a cult thing. So people use that to judge. So once you say you're a Christian, they look at you with the eyes of a cult group.
Historically?
Yes, yes. Now the church, some people believe it's a cult group or something. Maybe there are actually churches like that. That maybe they are not like, so I mean, those
kind of makes
issues,
the whole thing.
Yes. So now when you even
complex.
When they talk to a Japanese person about being a Christian, they are scared because they feel you are bringing them into a cult.
Okay.
Yes. So the idea of the persecution in the past, the persecution, right? The fact that some Christian sects are like cults, So these are some issues.
I think from your aspects of you're even like really, I never heard of this ones before. Like you're really, but I noticed that actually when you say you're a Christian, some Japanese people have that.
Like,
But when it even comes to stereotypes, so for me, I would say when I visited Nigeria in 2021, I went to like 2 churches. So I want to point this as somebody who says their church, it happened in. And one of the churches I was just worshiping because I love worship a lot. And I remember someone telling me, you still remember how to worship? Like, you've not converted. I was like, what is the stereotype about? Like, it's almost like before, like, it's almost like when once you've come here,
then
you will change. Yes, you will change or something like that. So that's my own kind of like stereotype. So, but let me get into the question. The first question I would say is, before you came to Japan, did you have that fear of what's the Christianity like? Oh my God, I'm going to change. Buddhism, Shintoism. Like, did you have that kind of concerns or something like that?
I don't think when I was coming to Japan, I did not have it, because I've had an experience previously that I had that kind of fear. When I finished, I studied in Federal University of Technology, Akure. I graduated 2010. Then I was posted to Katsina State. Okay. So when I was going, I really had that fear that, I'm going to miss my church, I'm going to miss my pastor, and things like that. So it was a serious concern. But guess what? The first day I got to camp, I went to NCCF service in the evening. And from that day, I did not miss anything again. So that really taught me a lesson that God has children everywhere. So from that moment onwards, even if I was going to Saudi Arabia, I know that there'll be people, there are believers there. All you just need is you need to do your research. You need to find out. So it's something intentional that you have to do, basically. So when I was coming to Japan, because of that Katsina experience already, and the fact that I had already known that anywhere you're going to in this world, God has children. So interestingly, when I was coming, I noticed that Joshua William attended FUTA too. He was 1 year ahead of me in FUTA. So I noticed he was in the same university I was coming to. So, and then I saw his activities. I was attending one Faith Community Baptist Church. There was even the time he went to Singapore, and I was like, I want to go.
To that church.
Yes, I did not. Because of my experience going on for youth service and having known that anywhere I go to, there are God's people. I think we
have similar experiences because you had someone, so he kind of made you know that if he's there thriving, I've seen him go to church, it's possible. Joshua.
Even having him came later. Even if he was not here, I already had that orientation.
No shaking. That
anywhere
kind of
I'm going, I know there are God's people there. All I just need to do is to find them out, basically.
I think for me, I didn't have that fear. It never gave me one sleepless night. Thinking back for me, and that's why I always say there's power in representation.
Right. Maybe I need to preach a message or write something on the power of example. When you see some examples, you know there are possibilities.
You don't even need to know the
Yes.
person on a personal
But the
level,
fact
but
that
just the fact that
somebody-
somebody like me is here,
Right.
is possible.
Right.
So that's also why I started YouTube, because I noticed that Japan didn't have so much representation in the black community.
Right.
So it's more like, you might not know me personally, you might not know Chilo, you might never see me in this
But they're just
life,
seeing
but
you
just
alone.
knowing that Chilo is surviving
I
there.
can tell how far the things you have done has gone. Like, you cannot even imagine.
Maybe I didn't have any fear because I knew people here. Yeah, they went to the same UNN with me. And so in my head, like, I'm like, whatever is the case, they are there. They are surviving. Like, it's not like it's an alien country
At all.
So one way or the other, I'll ask questions. So that's my first question. In one word, my next question will be, in one word, or maybe one word is too small, what has your Christianity journey been like in Japan?
In one sentence.
Should I go
please.
first?
Okay, please
Okay,
go,
should I go
go,
first? I think for me, one word, I'll say personal.
Yes.
It's been more personal. Coming from in Nigeria, it's not everybody, definitely on an average, but it's easy to get so activity, because there's activities. So it's easy to know to pursue the activities, the God of the activities, and not pursue the God.
Right.
That kind
and
of
that's
thing.
where people miss it, right?
Yeah, so, but here in Japan, because it's a smaller community, the church is not so big, so the activities are not so much. It's there, it's not so much. Life is also busy, and also, you just see yourself wanting to get more personal with God.
Right.
Is in Japan for the first time I saw myself this past 5 years. I'll stay and Google, oh, this is this sermon.
Can you
And just be
imagine?
playing it in the background.
Right.
Or this is this worship song. There is almost no worship song that you start now that
Yes,
I don't know.
Even people in Nigeria, you have to inform them about.
Yes, that I don't know. I'm always updated. Maverick release, I know. Elevation release, I know. Like, that's how much it's now like more of a personal journey. Not like saying that activities are not good. No, I'm just saying what the stage I was I was just busy. So yeah.
Okay, personal is your word.
Yeah,
For me, I think I would say missionary. Missionary in the sense that, before we came to Japan, right, there had been words that had gone ahead. That there was this thing that some of you, God is sending you to different parts of the world, and when you go there, don't think you're just going for PhD. You're going to actually shine the light of Jesus. The first weekend I landed, I started attending church immediately. No space. Now, then I came alone. My wife and our boy then came 2.5 months after me. In fact, the day my wife landed, it was a service day. And I was like, rest now. She was like, no, let's go. So we had cell meetings on Wednesdays evening, like 7 p.m. So we'll come to school tired, and then we'll go to church afterwards. Then Saturdays, we had meetings. I think it was like 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. I'm not sure now. Now, at some point, people were like, why are you so committed? Normally, we grew up building our lives around church. My wife and I. So anywhere I get to, when it is church time, and then I now organize other things around it. So, but what some people do is, after they have finished everything, they now
try to
have a
organize
space,
the church.
So I think there are many.
I would say I've mastered this one. I think he has mastered this. I now see what you did. Put the church activities and then plan life around it, and not plan the other things and then try to sandwich church.
Because I notice priorities matter.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think your word is missionary.
Yeah. Keyword missionary. Right?
So I think my next question would be, I like to always ask this when I do videos with people. Say challenges and the advantages, like so far being here in Japan.
Generally, or
the challenges of being let's start from the challenges of being a Christian here. Do you have any challenges?
Well, Japan is, just like mentioned earlier, Japan is a free place. You can do whatever. You can walk on your head. Nobody cares. Like, you can do anything you want to do. You can do whatever. You can be a Christian. Nobody cares. You can be a Buddhist. You can be a Shintoist. You can do whatever. As far as you respect other people.
Really, nobody's like policing you, like,
right.
Oh,
you're free to not believe in any God.
Yes,
right?
you're free to not.
I
had lab members that you say nothing. You don't believe in anything. Yes. What's your religion? Nothing. When you ask me, I'm like, Christianity. Oh, okay. Like, nobody's.
It's not an issue, right?
Looking at you like, why are you a Christian? Like,
yeah,
for me, I would say the only challenge is, it's not really a challenge, just because I want to say something. I sometimes genuinely, I miss the Yahweh, Kumamba, Yahweh.
And then you want to say amen after, in Jesus' name, amen. Lord, you come. That one, we do that one in the house. So their one is
we do all this.
But when you get to the other, you can play. Sometimes you can go
Experience all
loud,
this,
Benjo or Choma Jesus and Scattergram.
M&M, Mr. M&M, all those
Exactly.
people. Yeah, so I would say that's most. I've spoken with a lot of Africans and Nigerians and Black generally that come to my church. Most people always say like it's just and it's culture that plays a role in all these things. Japanese people are very quiet, and you won't blame them. They are very
to
reserved.
Jump, and they really want to jump.
They
like
want
you.
to. When they see you jumping, they are happy.
In fact, they are
oh.
amused. Do you know some people come to church because of our kids?
Okay, see now.
Like they just want to see
how happy they are, how they are jumping.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's my. I would say that's the only challenge. I remember when I visited Nigeria 2021. I went. Is it the worship? Is it the hey, take follow me? You know, sometimes all those traditional worship songs, they are just something. There's something it does more than the whole spirit lead me where I trust. Like maybe me na
Ekueme.
Like there's something like you want to lie down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just
right.
the only. Not really a challenge. That's just something I know I miss.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The cultures are different.
Let's talk about the advantage, or will I say, on your journey as a person, or on your faith, on your family.
Church we attend, right, also gives us a kind of unique exposure, right?
Yeah.
Because our pastors are Singaporeans.
Yeah.
They are Chinese, right? But they are Singaporeans by nationality, and then we are in Japan. So that mix also comes with its own uniqueness. You know, on campus. I attended NIFES, and NIFES is very heavy on evangelism, discipleship, leadership, and missions. So, and it's basically those same things the FCC talks about. So I'm like, what am I looking for again? And then it's not like a family. So many things like.
I think also the number makes it easy to do that thing.
Yes,
and then
FCBC has a self-structure thing that no matter how big the church is, there's a cell where you cannot hide.
Yeah.
So it's a family. They know your issues. Like I literally got my thesis title from a cell meeting. You know, they were asking us that for prayer, and I was like, oh, I have now. It's time to write my thesis, and I need to decide on the direction. And we prayed about it, and after that, I did something on information spread, which was like new, even with my professor. So I mean, those little tiny things. Yeah.
I think for me, right, I would say the advantage is almost the same thing. Like I said, it's just that I've seen that it's more personal for me. I've known God the Father. I've known God as a judge, but I'm experiencing God as a friend.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I'm experiencing God as a friend, which is still the personal thing. I love worshiping. That's why you see all this the experience. See, when I was in Lagos, I used to go to TBS.
I'm still watching the experience. I have 2 hours to go. I made sure I'll stop somewhere, continue later.
You know, so but now it's beyond music, this thing, it's even not the lyrics. Like it's funny how I'll be going through a phase and the song will just drop. Like I remember when I was in the States, I was juggling a lot, and the only song that just kept me calm was that I still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense, and I won't be going on. I'm not held by my own strength. So like it's more like it's personal. That's how to put it. So I think that's one. Secondly, is the family vibe that comes with the church community.
I mean, cell meetings, you go eat. Then you now.
My first birthday in Japan, they even did
like,
cake. I say,
they chop for church.
Who I be? You know, the church vibe. And for us, after service, we have this small group meetings. And I see myself some
that's
small
what we call
group,
cell meeting.
some small group. They break it into 3, 4. It's just like gist. Just like
how
we are just
exactly. Talk about the message.
Talk about your
anything.
week. Talk about your this. Sometimes I remember once a group meeting, I was teary. Like I was just crying because I think I had a very bad week. And you could see everybody like, oh, tissue. Like there's just that family thing. So I think that's one of the advantages that I have seen so far. Now let's talk about how someone meets you now and say, how do I find a church? I'm going to Osaka City, I'm going to Tokyo City. People go to different parts of Japan. How do you advise, why would someone find a church in Japan?
They find a church online. Like in fact, there are many people that have walked into our church without anybody inviting them. They said, okay, we are in Sendai, and I think
just to properly phrase this, first one, Google, right?
Google. Just Google. Anywhere you're going to in the world, whether Japan or anywhere. In fact, if I'm going to another country, one of the first things I do is I check the churches, then I look of course, you can't just go to any church. That's another part, right?
Yeah,
you can't just
true.
go to any church.
Yeah, true.
So sometimes the selling point for some of our churches is the fact that it's bilingual. So it's Japanese and
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
So people do that. And there are many churches around here. There are Catholic churches. In fact, my wife is Anglican, right?
Yeah,
She's
my
the daughter
family
of,
church is
of an Anglican
Anglican too.
venerable. So we're going at Miss Koshi one day, and I just saw Anglican Diocese of Togo, and I'm like, let's go and see your bishop. so yeah.
Just to add for the Google point, because that's my same first point, if we're going to say it differently.
Right.
I've seen people too, like, because after church, pastor will always asks if they are newcomers, how did you get to know the church and all. I've seen people that say, that maybe they are tourists, they are traveling around Japan,
Right.
and they're just like, you just googled bilingual church, or they
And
just
they
go
found it.
in maybe they're going to Tokyo now. This is the church in Tokyo, in Shinjuku, Tokyo,
Right.
or something, and options will come out, and you're like, which one is the which one is this? Check review,
Yeah.
and then they go. I'm just like,
Check
oh
review is
really?
important
I was
too.
like, oh really? People can just find church,
Right.
through, because I didn't do that, right? So I was like, oh really? People can just find.
How
church
did you find
through
your
Google.
church?
Okay, so the second way, which I'm going to talk about, is through senior colleagues,
Oh,
like
yeah.
senpais.
People that are already
people are already
there.
there.
True.
That's why I always say in almost all my videos, you cannot do life alone.
Exactly.
Nítorí Ọlọ́run. People that used to go to a new place and gonna do solo.
Yeah.
What are you soloing? Is it
you
song?
just solo yourself into trouble because
You can't do life alone.
some people feel that because they are intelligent or they have all the money, there are sometimes all these things will fail. It is one person who is like irrelevant.
There are some doors that
we
money
just-
cannot open.
Exactly.
It's
So
only human
and it is in
connection
settings like that
can
you
open it.
so as to keep exposing yourself to all these things. Now I get the gist, right? Some people are afraid. Some people will tell you people are bad, you cannot trust them. But if you close your eyes, they don't want to see bad people. Good people too will pass, you don't see them.
There's something you told me 2-3 years ago. I don't know if you remember.
I don't tell you things.
It has stuck with me, and I even told someone this thing you said last
Yeah.
week. You told me something when I was telling you about how careful I am about, I think was it social media or
Yeah.
something. I can't remember. YouTube. That time I was still doing. I know sure. And you told me something. You said the same wall you build to keep bad people is the same wall that keeps
It's will
good
allow
people.
good people in. Sure.
And I'm like, wow, this is so true. Don't build it too high to
Right.
keep away good people, but you
Right.
can have structures to keep away bad people. I'm like, this is so true.
You have to be wise as a serpent
Yeah.
and gentle as a dove. So it's
It's
delicate.
tricky. You just pray for discerning
Yeah.
spirit too. When I first came, Tabby now. Tabby
Yes.
was in my lab, and she's Christian. Her name sold her off. I was like, "Are you Christian?" She was like, "Yeah." And then I asked her, the churches, the options, and then
Yeah,
she
Tabi has been to
yes,
FCDC
and then she
too.
took me to her church, right? I actually did like her church, but I think the only issue I had or concern I had then was they didn't have like a static building, so you had to keep moving, and I was new in Japan.
Oh, that
so
should be Lifehouse.
I was always getting missing. I was not good with Google map yet like that,
Right.
and also it really kind of stressed me. So I'm like, I'll prefer something that has a static building,
Yeah, so you can
and
always come.
a static time when they
Right.
have church. I know that I block out this time, know that this is for church.
Right.
So that's my second way, like through people. Also, the second church I went to was through the Nigerians that I had here, like the
Okay.
people I had here. But when I went to that church, it was purely Japanese. And even though, like you said, Anglican, all these Orthodox churches, all these are Orthodox churches, because my family church is Anglican. When you hear Nicene Creed, even if it is in Spanish language, you will know it's
Usually
Nicene
it's the
Creed.
same, yeah.
When you hear Apostles' Creed, even if it is in any
Yeah.
language, you know. So I knew when they were saying some things.
Right.
But the honest truth is, for me, service is where I immerse. I don't want to crack. I don't want to do mathematics.
Exactly.
My second point I said is through senpais, like senior people,
yes.
how to find a church. You have another way.
Yeah, for me, it's just like you said too.
True senpais.
Joshua was that senpai for me.
If you're watching, you're wondering, I just got admission. I don't know anybody. You could also just check on social media,
Yes,
check
random
on
people.
LinkedIn. Another thing you can do is you can go to the school, go to the international body, and tell them that, do they have like an African association? Because
Yes.
we know in our African association, we've had the international body refer people to us that,
Yes.
this so we have 2 Africans that came.
Yes.
And when you now go to the African association, you can now meet other Africans or your country mates or other internationals that are Christians, and then start asking questions. That's what I did in US. I found out about the international body, broke it down to African Association, broke it down again to Nigerians.
Nigeria, yes.
So you could do that too. There's always international body in every school. Even if the school is inside a village, they will have international body. Then you can just ask questions.
Now, what you have said generally is about finding a church, but it is not everything called church.
Like a
Especially
church.
when it comes to a place like Japan. Some names, some places actually have church attached to their name, but they are really not churches. So you also want to be careful. You want to go to a Bible-believing church.
I think my third way I was finding a church too is through other churches.
Yes.
Like, for example, when we were driving past, me and Akuna, one of the Sundays, we're driving past and we saw a church, not Sunday, after school, we saw a church near that, our house side. And she was like, oh, we should bookmark this thing on Sunday, we'll come here. We went there. I think it's an Orthodox church. We could understand the hymns
All
even in
Japanese.
but it was all Japanese. So I think they could tell that these people are a bit lost. So they met us after service and was like, oh, can we speak English? We're like, yeah. And they referred us to this church now.
To PCC.
It's the same thing about no competition.
Yeah, I mean, nobody,
they were like,
nobody's interested in having the highest
number of
congregation.
It's just where you're fed. So they were like, okay, that there is this other church. They are bilingual. Pastor is Japanese, wife is Hong Kong, international. In short, the church is half international. And we were like, they gave us the address.
And we've literally had people that moved from PCC to FCBC.
Yes.
And the relationship
no
is still
bad
going.
blood,
Like
no bad blood.
Going.
Like I've been to Tabish church before, and I came to my church. No bad blood. Not like Tabi Nancy. Why did you leave my church?
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I went to PCC, the first Sunday, it was me and Akuna, the first Sunday I went there, I just said this was home.
Imagine.
It was a family for me. It was the whole... I just said, no, this was home. And I stayed.
Right.
So you can get to know about church too by referral from other churches, other Japanese churches.
True.
I wanted to say, there are actually some cities, I don't know how true it is, but I have met someone, let's say I've met 10 people in Japan, one person that said there was no church at all in her city.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Is it possible?
Very possible. Maybe some areas are like that, no churches.
So in that case, what do you hear in Japan?
I don't. Maybe there are places.
I don't know.
But if
it's
you
just
go
one
to
person I've met.
Amber
People that
cities.
come with this teaching English something, they send them to rural places.
Yeah,
Like
I
all
think
this, what's those
ALTs
and all
language
the,
teachers.
yeah, they send them to rural places. So what would you advise someone like that is in a city that there is no church? I'm saying this is after you've gone through all this process of finding a church, like we said, Google, senior colleagues,
and referral from other churches.
Referral from other churches and everything, and looking around too. Because sometimes when you look around the street and all, let's say you've done all these things and there is no church, what do you
If you're posted to a rural place, most likely there'll still be a church, but maybe mostly in Japanese.
Yeah.
So there are options now. There's internet in any bush in Japan.
Online
so
service.
you can hook up with your church in Nigeria. I think I listen to more Nigerian music and pastors, sermons, even in Japan, not compared to when I was in Nigeria.
Internet now, I think
Because of internet. You can go to the nearest city, and Japan is highly interconnected with transportation. But if you still don't want to do that, because for me, I prefer my church to be walking
physical
distance.
Yes, I think this online thing, I remember COVID period, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, sometimes we hook on to church and we don't
you sleep off.
You
sleep off.
Like
there's just something about dress up and leave the house. I actually get the frustration for people like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you said, what I would say, you can pace it a bit. You can do one Sunday in, one Sunday out, to go to another city. Yeah, so I think that's all. Do you have just last words to people that are watching, they are considering Japan, but this was a major, because I feel like when I look at those kind of questions I get, those kind of comments, I feel like those comments can only come from someone that is considering Japan, but maybe this is the major bone in the neck. What was the last
even if you know that's where God is sending you to, He has children there, but you have to be intentional in seeking them out. That's the only thing. I really just want to talk a bit more about this whole idea of you go abroad, and just like you heard, right? Like, I've been in Nigeria for almost 35 years of my life. I came here for 3.5 years. I went back to Nigeria for 2 years, and you hear things like, how are you coping? There's no light. I'm like, I know there's no light.
You still know God.
Yeah, and
you're still on fire.
Yes, but imagine. So I think if what you had as a Christian in Nigeria is organic, there's no way to get lost out here. And that intentionality thing is really, some people are very impressionable, right? Once you get somewhere, one of the first things you should look for is the congregation of believers. And it's even from there. Of course, you're not also going there to take advantage of them, because some people also do that. You feel that, all these people, as a foreigner now, don't come with a beggarly attitude, because I think that thing has affected us. We have people that came before and they were always, come and go and drop me. You know, it's so annoying.
You don't
it's
come,
so annoying.
let them not see you at the face.
Yes.
This one that is always having problems.
People will be,
you
give
give
people will
something,
be nice
give light,
to you.
give
People will be
happiness.
nice to you, but show them that you also have something to offer. Humble yourself. And just enjoy the fellowship.
Enjoy.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, enjoy the fellowship. That's why when I'm making videos, I always say one of the places you can find a community is church if you're a Christian.
Yes.
Of course, this video is not shoving our beliefs down your throat. I think for me, the last words I would say is evangelism here is different.
Yeah, totally.
You are not telling someone, oh, come to God, he will change you.
You have to be patient.
You come to God, he will give you money.
Yeah.
Or come to God, he will change you from smoke. People are morally upright.
Yes. In
You
fact, maybe
will be surprised they are morally upright more than you. So you have to think evangelism is more than come to God, it's transactional, come to God.
He will give you visa. They don't need visa to go to
anywhere.
Almost 200 countries, like 165 countries. So that's why some people backslide too. So if you have been going to church to collect light or to collect husband or to
when
collect
you now
visa,
go abroad and you have all those
so
things, it's easy for you to just be like,
so then church becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
So and I have to tell you in the first place that Christianity is not about those things you can get.
Yeah.
You will get, but that's not the focus.
And then so because it's beyond those kind of things, it's just about the light you shine. By light I shine, I'm not saying you must tie like this and do like it could even, like you said, the happiness you exude, like your children, they are coming to church.
Like, why are you always happy?
Somebody asked me that in my life, and
why
that was the only avenue I had.
Yes.
One guy, we were very close, and he just like, Chuma, why are you always happy? And he knows that my experiments failed. This one, he was like, Chuma, why are you always happy? I remember people had gone. It was about 8 p.m. And I told him, because I have someone I always talk to.
Can you imagine?
He said, who? I said, God.
See opportunity.
Because in these countries they are very individualistic, so it's easy for you to be alone, and then get sad. Yeah. So that's your avenue to shine your light. God gave you joy. This joy he has given you. Yeah. So the guy was like, you could see he was. And it's funny that someone that didn't, another person, fast forward 2 years later or 1 year later, someone else was graduating, someone that is not a Christian. And I was asking, because I'm always like that with my lab people. Yeah. And I asked him, what will you remember Chomas? What do you remember Chomas as? And this guy, someone that doesn't know God, he said, I remember he has light.
Can you imagine?
I turned.
Wow. Light.
It just felt like.
So even when they're not talking, they can see you.
He said, I would describe it as light. I told him, do you know what you just said? From a Christian perspective. I said, what's light? He said, you come into a room and you light up the space.
Wow.
With your, and then I was like, evangelism is not just, and I'm not here saying I am the most upright Christian, because I know I'm still, me and God, we see the patch our friendship, they go I'm not boasting in my strength. I'm not boasting in anything. I boast in God. When this guy said this thing, I went home, I thought of this thing.
That itself will help even your Christianity. You will look at yourself again like, hey, understand the people you are reaching out to, and then allow the Holy Spirit lead you. You're not even the converter in the first place, so it is the Holy Spirit that will do his work.
So I really do hope this video helps anybody that is at that crossroad of making a decision about coming to Japan.
Once you find the right church, it helps you to settle down fast, and it will help you to keep down. You accountable.
Church has helped me. Moving this one, they will come and bring without asking. They will bring their car. Church is a community on its own. Okay, guys, and just to add, my Oga has a book.
Oh, thank
Keeping
you.
Success Space. If you've heard him talk, you know he's a very rounded person. When it comes to faith, when it comes to scholar, he's an assistant professor in Japan. If people know what that is, finish his PhD here. Was a lecturer in Futa, assistant professor here, has a thriving family. I can tell you for a fact, I really admire his union with his wife and his kids, right? So everything is on check.
I think if you take in your heart that time.
Yeah, actually, that's what made me like his family. So this is a book that I highly recommend. If you're looking to succeed, climb the ladder of life, it covers everything. His journey is not silver spoon matter or like wooden spoon. Go and read and hear his story. Like, I really recommend. I'm going to put the link for the Amazon or in the description box. You can order it anywhere. So I highly recommend this book. I'll put it in the description box. You guys should go and read it. And
I think it will be particularly good for people from high school to like maybe young, early people like us. Maybe fresh into marriage.
Actually, I know
so
I think
it's focused on academics for the most part, but then you can apply the principles on in every.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I don't blow. I don't
I
blow.
beg.
I come to Chilotalks, I don't blow.
That's so. No, they white me. All right, see you guys next time on
Thank
Chilotalks.
you.
Bye for now, guys.